Hi there, and thanks for joining us on KARE 11 News at noon. At any moment, a potential federal indictment could come down in connection to the deadly Burnsville standoff that led to the deaths of 2 officers and 1 firefighter paramedic. Danny Spiewak shows us what we know so far.
We have learned that the U.S. Attorney's Office has convened a grand jury related to the Burnsville shooting that left 3 first responders dead last month. The U.S. Attorney's Office will not confirm or deny the existence of this grand jury, but a person who received a subpoena to testify says the case has involved questions about guns. Police have said Shannon Gooden used multiple firearms during the standoff last month. Due to a previous felony conviction, he wasn't allowed to have those guns. But as KARE 11 has reported, investigators have traced at least 1 gun used in the shooting to a Burnsville gun shop, and those investigators are looking into whether someone purchased the gun for Gooden. That would be known as a straw purchase. Although federal grand jury proceedings aren't public, the purpose is for prosecutors to present evidence to a group of at least 16 jurors so that they can decide whether there's enough probable cause to bring criminal charges.
In just over an hour, an update on the youth auto theft problems here in Minneapolis, the progress that has been made and the work that still needs to be done. Hennepin County Attorney Mary Moriarty will share those updates with Minneapolis city leaders this afternoon. Moriarty announced a coalition to curb youth crime last summer, sharing concerns specifically about auto thefts and law enforcement response. We're sending a news crew to that event, and we'll share the highlights tonight at 6, along with reaction from the Minneapolis police chief tonight on breaking the news at 6:30. Organizers and people living in Camp Nino-Kasi in Minneapolis are expected to rally at City Hall, calling for an end to encampment evictions. It comes just hours before a court date tomorrow where organizers are suing for a temporary restraining order on the city's repeat evictions. City council members say 3 ordinances will be proposed addressing unsheltered homelessness. One establishes a permit system for temporary encampments. One establishes a humane policy for city response to those encampments. And one requires evictions to be documented to show how much taxpayer money was spent. Well, if you've been enjoying the warmer weather this week, you may want to get outside today. Ben, I didn't want to go outside at first, and then my dog was like, girlfriend, we are taking a walk today. I understood it, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know that March can be a fickle month, and it can change like that. And we do expect changes by the end of the week with more seasonal temperatures. We're talking 40s and even 30s for highs, but today should be another day where we easily work our way into the 60s. Now, one thing that's different than the last couple of days is we do have quite a bit more cloud cover. Radar picking up on some rain echoes over the far western part of the state, but that's likely evaporating before reaching the ground. Temperatures are very similar to what we were at this time yesterday. Already 58 degrees in the metro and 60s across southern Minnesota. You can see cooler temperatures up north. International Falls is just warmer than the freezing mark. But you can expect a dry day today with kind of that filtered, hazy sunshine. Here's your hour-by-hour forecast. Those clouds will gradually thicken through the day. And again, low to mid 60s for highs today before a noticeable cool down in the days ahead. We're also tracking our best chance for rain this week. That's coming up on Thursday. We'll talk more about it coming up, Alexis.
Ben, thank you. We're going to take a look at a live look at the nation's capital, where just about 2 hours ago, the House passed a bill that could lead to the nationwide TikTok ban. The bill calls for the app to break from its China-linked owners, citing national security concerns. The bill now heads to the Senate, where a bipartisan group is looking into making changes. In just a couple of hours, President Joe Biden will be landing in a key Midwest swing state as his presidential campaign starts to pick up. He's expected to make a stop in Milwaukee less than 3 weeks before the state heads to the polls for its primary. However, we know today that we will see a Biden-Trump rematch in November. Both President Biden and former President Donald Trump have secured their party's nominations. Here's a look at the states that are still waiting to go to the polls. Their votes will now give us a better look at what we could expect in the general election. Well, back at home, it's another busy day at the Minnesota State Capitol. Here's what's on the docket. One of the biggest topics of the day focuses on clean energy. Lawmakers will discuss a push to streamline the permit process and make it easier for clean energy projects to get started. Legislators will also hold a hearing on what to do about feral hogs coming into the state from Canada. John Croman is at the Capitol today, and we'll have the latest tonight at 5 and at 6. Well, it's also SEIU Lobby Day at the Capitol. It comes during a turbulent time for the union, seeing several strikes over the past few months. That's what Governor Walz talked about as he greeted hundreds of people less than 2 hours ago.
Those who came before us, every generation has refought these fights. I would make the case that over the last few years here in Minnesota, because of the leadership of SEIU and our allied partners, we have maybe made more progress than we have in a generation.
Well, today the group is expected to talk with lawmakers about things like unemployment insurance for striking workers and health care for airport workers.